And welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Larry and Spencer, and we're going to be discussing Dexter New Blood, episode number 8, Unfair Game. If you've not hit the sub button, please do so. Leave a like, leave a comment, and there was a line in this. I wrote it down because it was so cool. You know, he was kidnapped in the last episode by one of Kurt's idiots, some hillbilly guy, and I guess he's a trucker. And Dexter escapes, and so it's sort of a game of cat and mouse for a while. But the line was summer camp, perfect place for a serial killer to make his stand. And like Dexter, even I just love the fact that even Dexter, saw sort of the humor in that, or the thought of, he's going to a summer camp, he's going to hide and stalk his prey, and the guy comes in, and then the most badass attack and kill where he busts through a mirror, jumps on the guy, and then ends up, murdering him. But yeah, that whole back and forth between Dexter and this guy, I thought it was great. It was fun. I liked that line. I liked that it ended in a summer camp. And yeah, what y'all think about all that? Especially the mirror scene. I thought that was cool.
It that was great because it was like a horror movie at that. When he jumps through the mirror. Uh, yeah, that whole sequence was interesting to see. And an unarmed Dexter in the woods. Being hunted by someone who's got a rifle on him. Just and it was it's just a well done scene. Like he's bleeding out. He's already been shot and everything, and it's like very tense. But yeah, the whole summer camp thing
He
and the
tried to
way he
throw
reversed that.
he tried to throw him off with the river. He's like, "That's the oldest trick in the book."
Right.
Like the hunter
Like
guy
he's done
figured
this
it out.
before. Yeah.
He's like, it ain't gonna work.
He's like, they always do this. Oldest trick in the book.
And when he basically jokered his face, he took
Yeah.
Yeah.
the I don't know if it was wire or because I know it was like zip ties, but it looked almost like
Yeah, they were
wire.
like zip ties. Sort
Yeah,
of.
but when he took it into his mouth, like it cut the shit out of his mouth, and when he was smiling and wincing, and it was very Joker-esque, and which I mean, I'm sure it was a slight reference too, but that's not the only thing. The guy who plays, was it Chubbs on Sons of Anarchy, they called it the Glasgow smile, whatever, where they legit do that. They take a
Yeah, it's an
knife.
Irish thing. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's a thing that really happens, but seeing that a lot of the violence in these kind of shows, and he stabs people, and they even in the old season, he like tortured people or other people tortured other people. And for whatever reason, that like I could feel that. Like you ever have that pop ice where you cut like the inside of your lip, like a little
Yeah.
popsicle, and how bad it hurts every time you smile for like the next, I don't know, like week and a half. I
It,
just
it
imagine that times like 100.
Well, it
Just
was this. It didn't register with me until the guy finally, about halfway into the episode, stops and starts picking up snow to cool down. Put it on the wound, and that's when they really got the close up, and you realized, oh my god, I think it went all the way through, and it was just like, oh no.
yeah, it wasn't just a slight, like it irritated him and it like scratched him. Like it looked like if
Yeah,
he smiled, you could see his teeth. Like it
the
was bad.
makeup on that was amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. The way they did that, and like you said, I wish you didn't do that description because I could definitely feel it when you were saying that, Spence. Like, but yeah, it just makes you wonder how many of these dirt bags does Kurt have on call? Like, does he have a book full of them? Like how many of these sort of you know uh, just oddballs does he have in that book? 'Cause he's a rich guy. He owns a trucking company. He probably like finds every weirdo who's like that, and like offers them little odd jobs like this.
I just
All
love. He's like, turn down that hillbilly shit. He like blasting that that music while he's driving, and when Kurt answers, he's like, turn that down.
And I'm thinking, even with cell phones and everything else, that Kurt has like a Rolodex full of like shitty truckers that he can just call.
Yeah, I bet he does because it's like the guy who checked into the whole hotel is Matt. Was probably one of those guys, and he looked real shabby too. He looked like one of the burglars from Home Alone, like the killer.
Home Alone 3, not the good ones with Macaulay Culkin, but like the third one.
The so if you watch our big Sky review, yeah, Ronald, man, Russell Legarsky. He needed bad truck drivers.
French Stewart and
where's T-Lock? I can see T-Lock on Kurt's payroll. But yeah, all that got resolved fairly quickly, and well, not really quickly, but it got resolved. But now there's a dead body sitting in a cabin in the woods that Dexter hasn't had time to go clean up. Although that might not matter, and we'll go into the reason it might not matter because Bishop. So Bishop started digging, and tell me if you guys agree or don't. It seems like she's putting the puzzle together and she's figuring out that Dexter is the Bay Harbor butcher. It seems that's the direction they're taking it. She started investigating the drug dealers and noticed the needle marks, and she keeps looking at pictures of Dexter from his past, and then she started looking up the Bay Harbor butcher stuff, and it all just sort of seems to be coming together. Now the question is, if that is in fact her conclusion that he is that, what's next? It's one thing to implicate him and say, oh, I think it's him. She has no, what about evidence? It comes down to an evidence, and could you prove it? So therefore, would you even come out with that information if you can't prove it? So I don't know. Just me thinking out loud. What do you think? Has she solved it, and what does she do with information like that? Because I don't believe there is any real evidence. I mean, that was always the thing he was good at covering up is the evidence. And so even if she's 100% positive, she would have to be able to prove it.
Well, I think we have Molly Park too, though, because regardless of whether or not she could prove it, the court of public opinion can ruin somebody's life. So I think that
True.
Regardless of whether he's legitimately guilty and goes to jail or not, he easily could be targeted and have to go on the run again. Although I still stand by what I said last episode, is that he'll end up going to jail for something Harrison did, and hopefully that'd be a great New Blood season where Dexter's still involved, but he's just talking to Harrison through jail.
Dexter Oz.
Yeah. But I think that she would, although it's none of this show is really grounded in reality at all, but when you have this small podunk sheriff in this small ass town figure out shit that the FBI and the Miami Metro, like all these people couldn't figure this shit out, but you're going to tell me this town of 200 people, the sheriff in that town can figure it out? That's a little hard for me to believe.
Yeah, I think that she will. Like, I think she'll have it all figured out. Heck, she might even find like the body in the cabin and everything. But here's the thing. Like, in this episode, I thought it was going to go roughly the way you said, Spencer. But I'm starting to get the idea, especially given that I bet she still has a feeling that it wasn't just Kurt's dad, that it is Kurt, and she's also going to find that out along the way. And given that Kurt is responsible for the crime that she's been tracking for her entire time on the police force, she may actually let it go, knowing that he's responsible for her friend's death, for all these missing girls and everything. She might just pretend it didn't happen.
You think there'll be a moment where she's like, I don't need Jim. I don't need Dexter. I need the Bay Harbor butcher.
I hope so.
I don't think she'll ever say it out loud, but she will possibly have that moment.
The entirety of the episode, and I thought it was done amazingly, was the sort of bonding of Kurt Caldwell and Harrison. And it was done very well. And then it ends when he comes out of that room all decked out in his hunting gear. And I was like, oh, because I couldn't quite figure out what his plan was. I was like, okay, we know he thinks Dexter's kidnapped and he's bringing him there. but I couldn't completely figure out what exactly was going to be the next step. And then we figure, oh, he wants to force Dexter to watch him hunt Harrison. That's pretty lame. It could have been, you know what I mean? I was like, I figure you would have come up with something cooler than that, but okay, fine. That's the plan. But it goes to shit because Dexter's able to show up and sort of save Harrison. So now we get that moment at the end where Harrison and Dexter are having their heart to heart. Dexter's like, I'm going to tell you everything. Kurt, they know what Kurt's into. Kurt knows, he knows that Dexter killed his son. He doesn't know the details. And now we have Bishop, who maybe has figured out that Dexter is a serial killer. Everybody knows everything at this point, and yet we saw if you saw the preview for next week, they all have to sort of pretend they don't. And so it's going to be interesting seeing that game of chess continue where all these characters are interacting and how they're going to operate, around all this.
It's going to turn into Fletch.
Like
Yaddle is like Chevy Chase showing up. I'm still trying to figure everything out.
I have a feeling, well, I don't know how long they can keep that up. How many episodes do we actually have left in the two episodes?
Yep.
Yeah, I have a feeling they won't be dancing around each other for too long. And I get the feeling that, Kurt is also going to be, Harrison's first Dexter style kill. Heck, potentially Harrison's first kill in the first place, because he falls into the code 100%. We already had Harrison, suiting up in his truck cleaning gear the same way Dexter did. We have all those building blocks, and then he has the razor and everything, so this will be Harrison becoming Dexter thanks to Kurt. Like, they're only going to dance around it for so long. Either way, they're both playing this little game of cat and mouse, and I guess Kurt, honestly, is going to be a little harder to get to than they are, because, he's rich. He can be pretty much anywhere he wants. If he needs to put himself in a hotel room for X amount of time, he can. But, Dexter just kind of lives in that cabin, and it would be suspicious for him to go anywhere else. So it's hard to say how hard to say who's going to break first as far as who's going to try attacking the other. But, Kurt definitely seems to have his eyes set on killing Harrison.
Well, and it's all to punish Dexter at this point. Even we were debating on whether or not he was trying to basically have Dexter or Harrison be his surrogate son. But then, the whole kidnapping plot and everything was literally just to have Dexter watch him kill his kid.
What did y'all think it was, where it was leading? Because I was surprised when that was his plan. I was a little let down, actually. I don't know. Where did y'all think it was headed?
It seemed like it was the surrogate son thing up until, that point, and I thought that he was going to potentially even try to have him, to see that he's fully on board, potentially have him kill Dexter. That he was going to set Dexter up the same way that Dexter sets other people up with the saran wrap and everything. And he was trying to get Harrison to kill him in that way, or to maybe even, in his style of murder, with the hunting and everything. Speaking of which, we still haven't seen, there's the whole trophy thing that you've mentioned before, Brian, that he does. We haven't seen him do that. So is that even him? I wonder.
We did when he was the girl he shot in the face, and then he was trying to
repair it. Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But yeah, where are they? Like, that's
Right.
my question. Like, he's been doing. You saw the wall of all the pictures of the girls. And the girl says, "Oh, he comes in about once a month and plays that song and dances." So my assumption is that's his cycle. So let's say he does. Let's say it's 12 a year. For however, decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. Where the hell are all these bodies being put? He's got his little secret cabin and everything, but yeah, where are what's he doing with them?
Yeah, does he maybe after a while dispose of them the same way that Dexter did with Matt? Is that how he found the screws, or am I missing another explained piece?
That would make sense. Or if he just Fargo's it and wood chippers them.
Yeah. The fire thing, that's a good theory, actually. Um, yeah, I don't know. But I'm assuming we'll find out because to go and to go through the trouble of showing us that process, like they didn't have to do that. Like you said, they could have just showed him throw him in a furnace or something. So it's like, no, he clearly he saves them. Why embalm them? Like he clearly is preserving them for a reason. Um, I'm assuming we're going to see it in the next two episodes. That maybe that's where the big showdown will take place.
That's what I'm assuming.
I think Spencer's eating a sandwich. He's eating his mic. What were you doing?
I muted it 'cause I was walking through the living room.
Oh, okay.
But now that'd be great if it was like a Marv versus Kevin kind of showdown in Sin City where
That would be awesome. Yeah, I know
Mhm.
exactly what you mean. Yeah. Well, Harrison's got his razor.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and that's my assumption that it will be Kurt and Dexter. Good God, I combined a bunch of names into one. Kurt and Dexter.
texture.
Dexter
he's a real big
going toe to toe. The T was from toe to toe. That's what I was about to say. And texture, but Kurt and Dexter going toe to toe. Dexter won't win out. Kurt will think that that Harrison is easy to pick off. Harrison will have that razor. Harrison might just slice his throat then and there once he's close enough, and we'll get um, Harrison turning into Dexter. I was about to say Hexter. Also, good God, what's up with me?
It's late.
figured the T came from Tevin Campbell or Turd Ferguson.
The character that sort of dropped off the map a little bit is the Audrey. Audrey has she's there, but she sort of dropped back in the last couple of episodes. We see her sort of flirting with one of the the guys at school. Harrison sees it and sort of turns away from her. He's gonna go try and talk to her, but that doesn't pan out. And then we even have the moment where he's talking to Kurt, and Kurt's like, "Oh, you're dating her, right?" And he's just like, I don't know now." We had some theories, or Spencer, you had some really good theories about, what does new blood mean? Could that be her? She has an interesting background as well. Could she be someone who finds out all these things or learns them as well? And it's like, yeah, kill Kurt. I'm down. Like, do you guys still think that's a possibility? Like I said, they sort of downplayed her character a little bit in the last couple episodes.
I think that not. I think it could still be a real big possibility. When I look at what Dexter did in the previous series, even when he tried to befriend the Trinity Killer, it's seeing her flirt again with that. I don't remember the captain of the wrestling team. I don't remember who he was. I know he's one of the guys who's a giant dickhead. It seemed almost as though she was trying to befriend him the same way that Dexter befriended people before he killed them to try and find out more. Um, with that boy basically was responsible for what we felt like I don't remember the boy's name who was going to shoot up the school, but when you get that whole story, that guy was the main dude, one of the main contributors to that. So I feel like maybe we may still get her as a killer, but she's going to make it try to look like an accident, unlike where Dexter tried to just basically get rid of him along with the evidence. But I still feel like it might be a little bit reaching at this point, but I do feel like it was a parallel when you're watching what happened in Dexter, the original series, and how she's acting with that boy who she basically wrote off earlier. So I feel like she may be trying to still take him out.
Yeah, it's hard to say, and like if my other theory is correct, it's possible that her mom might let Dexter go, or pretend that she doesn't know what she knows, and but the daughter may be onto them, or maybe may have a greater idea what's really happening because she's got a lot of these clues too. They've talked about a lot of these things. She knows that Dexter isn't really Jim, and Harrison's told her more than enough for her to piece together some puzzles. So, you know, if she doesn't have those tendencies, then she could be like an issue for them in season 2. And let's not forget that the wrestling coach, I forget the name of that character, but he's not exactly dumb either. So it's likely that he could catch on to some things. He does hand wave a lot of things, because Dexter is Jim to him, and he's like, nah, Jim's not suspicious. But we've seen that in the past in previous seasons of Dexter where they hand wave a lot of things up to a point because Dexter's a friend, and then they go, okay, now it's really suspicious. Too many coincidences. So it may get to that point for him as well.
My last question. Will Molly Park survive this season? Like,
No.
we see, we see in the preview Bishop is pursuing the idea of, could Dexter be the Bay Harbor Butcher? At least that's what it appears. And she's looking into the podcast, and so Molly Park has personally investigated that story herself at one point. So maybe they'll have a conversation about it. But between Dexter and Kurt, like everybody, there's a bullseye on her, and it's even, I think, Dexter to a degree is keeping an eye on her. Yeah, what happened? This is just, I don't know what happened. Will she survive herself? Would Dexter kill her? I think he might if he thought he had to.
I'm not saying he wouldn't kill her because I think that if it came down to him surviving or Harrison being found out, that he would have zero problem doing it. Well, I think he would have a problem doing it, but he would still just do it. But I remember early on looking, she's only in like 5 or 6 episodes. So since she's already showed up in several of the episodes now, there's only 2 episodes left. So I was trying to count how many episodes she was in when I originally looked it up. I don't know that she'll make it past the next episode, let alone the next 2. So I am curious to find out if she will make it further, or if she's just, she may just walk out. She may just be like, you know what, I'm going back to New York and never hear from her again. But I don't think that she's going to make it past the next episode. And I do think that she's going to get killed. I don't think she's just going to walk out. She's already established she's too much of a headstrong character to just basically let sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah, she's definitely that kind of character. And honestly, if they're setting up the possibility of a season 2, it'll be through her, I think, because chances are, like, even if she is on her way out, or if she's sticking around, she'll run into, and I gotta remember the name of that cop, wrestling coach. Either of you remember his name?
Is it like Logan or something?
Logan.
I think
That's right. She'll run into Logan, or she'll run into the chief's daughter, and she'll mention something, and that'll snap some pieces together for them of this puzzle, and now we've got them investigating Dexter, or them investigating what's happened. So, I feel like if they're going to try to put in sort of an allusion to the possibility of an ongoing mystery or season 2, it'll be through her.
Yeah, it's Logan. Just looked at it. Yeah. I wouldn't be against that. I at this point, based on the way this season's been structured and where we've gone, and just the build up of the character of Harrison, I would be very disappointed if this was the end. If you need to write Dexter out, if the actor is done, fine. Do what you got. I wouldn't be against that if that's the way it ended, but I do want to see Harrison continue at this point. I'm completely okay with that. But yeah, we'll see what they decide. And I know the show's been successful for Showtime. Showtime doesn't have a whole lot of franchises, so It's like, look, this one's working. Keep going.
Yeah, agreed. It's definitely working. It's definitely one of my currently it is one of my favorite shows to watch. Other than we mentioned now 1883 surprised us. I was very surprised by the season of Dexter because we've seen so many and we didn't really know when this started if they had another season in them or if this was just a cash grab. And it's definitely proved that it's not a cash grab. And there was definitely some greater story to tell there.
Well, it's almost like and we've talked about this before, where you have a really good show. Uh, Game of Thrones was a great lead into Barry. It helped Barry. It also helped Veep when Veep was, going. It helped that show's ratings. I think that because Yellow Jackets got picked up for a second season, uh, I think that Dexter is a huge reason as to why Yellow Jackets got picked up for a second season. So I'm curious if it will get renewed, and because I know it was initially just kind of marketed as a mini series, but I don't know if they're going to keep it that way or if they're going to kind of stretch it out and write in a new series out of it, or do like a spin-off. They don't even have to call it Dexter, just spin it off with Harrison and continue that way. I don't know.
That the title seems odd, with the music and everything, just imagining it as Harrison, instead of Dexter. But it's just the name. I definitely would like to see that. That'd be cool to see, you know. But and that's a big possibility because there are a lot of hints that okay, this may be the end for Dexter. Um, but yeah, it's been a really cool watch so far.
Well, like I said, there's 2 episodes left. Uh, Feels like there's a lot of ground to cover in 2 episodes, and hopefully they stick the landing. Anything else before we end this?
I think we covered.
I was only going to say I just looked at the ratings for it. It got 8.2 million views the last episode.
That's and for a cable show like that, that's insane.
Yes.
That is huge, huge
Yeah.
numbers.
So for them not to try and bring it back would be surprising.
I'd have to look, but that's probably their biggest thing they've had in a while. I would, ratings wise, that's big. So, yeah, yeah, we appreciate everyone listening. Like I said, we will definitely be covering the next 2 episodes. Check out our 1883 reviews. Great show. If you're not watching it, check it out. If you're into westerns, we will have a Wheel of Time sort of final episode review coming up here in a day or so. And what else we got coming up? Yeah, we got a couple. Yeah, we do. We got a couple shows coming up in January and February, so there's a lot of content on its way. Appreciate everyone listening, and we will talk to y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.